I was going to have a video discussing January 6th as my next video, but place that on the back burner to discuss why it is likely that the Republican Supreme Court justices will overrule the gay marriage decision when given the opportunity to do so. I view it as now more likely that this will happen based on a decision published on June 21st, 2024, titled Department of State versus Munez. The Supreme Court Justice Amy Barrett wrote the majority opinion for the other Republican justices that, at a minimum, strongly suggests that the Republican justices will overrule the gay marriage decision in Hodges when given the opportunity to do so. I am about to quote from an article that I will cite in the More section below that goes into the details of why this is now a likely result for the future. In the Munez case, quote, the constitutional question was whether a U.S. citizen has a fundamental liberty interest in their non-citizen spouse being admitted to the United States. A lower federal court, the California-based Ninth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals, had ruled that a constitutionally protected liberty interest existed in such situations, end quote. Barrett dismissed that issue, pointing to the absence of a, quote, history and tradition, end quote, of any right to bring a spouse into the country. The lack of a history and tradition allowing for abortions in the United States was the essential reason why the Republican justices overruled Roe. So the same reasoning would apply to gay marriage. Long before the Dobbs decision overruling Roe v. Wade, I predicted that the addition of the 3 justices appointed by Trump would inevitably lead to a reversal of Roe v. Wade, notwithstanding those justices claiming during their confirmation hearing that Roe was well-settled law. Those were not honest statements or candid statements at a minimum, when their intent was to overrule Roe when given the opportunity. Those justices were deliberately selected for that very purpose. There was never any doubt what they would do when given the opportunity to overrule the, quote, well-settled, end quote, law. The Hodges decision on gay marriage was 5-4, so it was already on thin ice and will probably be overruled relatively soon. Within the next year or two would be my best estimate now. Justice Ginsburg was in the majority, and she was replaced by Barrett, who was the author of the Munez decision. The author of the majority decision in Hodges, the gay marriage decision, was the Republican Justice Anthony Kennedy, who was replaced by Brett Kavanaugh, who joined the Barrett opinion in Munez without reservation. And he was also, of course, in the majority opinion of the Republican justices overruling Roe. So it is only a question before Hodges is overruled by the Republican justices. The Republican justices Roberts, Alito, Thomas were part of the minority already in the Hodges gay marriage case. The same reasoning used by Barrett could also be the foundation for overruling the 1967 Loving v. Virginia case that found a state law preventing interracial marriage or intimate relations like the one Justice Thomas has with his wife was unconstitutional. That kind of statute that was overruled in Loving v. Virginia prevented marriage between races and even intimate relationships between members of different races.